Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In this episode, I kick off a new series I'm working on that's featuring each of the 18 legions that players can play in the upcoming Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, the framework I'm using for this series is basically looking at what the Warhammer community is presenting in each of these 18 articles. The lore, the general look and feel of the legion, and of course, its rule mechanics that they're willing to tease at this point. And then maybe down the road, I might have a follow-up as to how accurate I think that these articles presented each of the individual legions. But that would be a series for another time. All right, so again, that's the premises or framework for this series. I'm really excited to get started. And in this episode, arguably this is probably my all-time favorite chapter in Warhammer 40k, but for Horus Heresy, it looks pretty awesome too. And that legion is the Blood Angels. All right, let's begin. Well, we've reached the Legion. That was actually the very first chapter I played in Warhammer 40k, and that's the Blood Angels. So this one's kind of near and dear to me, but I don't know if I'm going to play them in the Horus Heresy. But let's check out to see what they offer. War is always terrible business, but it needn't be a concerning exercise in cruelty or a brutal, merciless grind. For the truly enlightened, combat is an art form, and there are no greater artists than the Blood Angels. A legion of noble paladins who are as much poets and painters as they are bloodthirsty killers. Yup. Rising from the ashes of madness to spread their beautiful and mostly metaphorical wings, the Ninth Legion are a source of inspiration to all warriors of the Legiones Astartes. They're also the next stop on our tour through the Emperor's Space Marine legions, and even we won't pretend to be impartial here. They're just that bloody good. Exactly. That is a pretty epic image of Sanguinius, the Primarch for the Blood Angels. Yeah, it's just hard not to like this, the look of this Legion. It has a very Renaissance vibe to it, and if you're an art major like I am, yeah, that kind of plays into that. Although their reputation for beauty and nobility is known across the galaxy 10,000 years later, even as other would-be artists embrace the dark arts of autotune, few remember the gloomy origins of the Blood Angels. While more carefree Astartes raced across the wider battlefields of unification, the Ninth Legion were pressed into wars of annihilation against especially horrific mutative foes and recruited from the same sorts, their induction process transforming even eradicated ghouls into photogenic supermen. The Ninth Legion was unnervingly self-sufficient, bouncing back from destruction time and again. Lost troops, implant your gene seed into some prisoners. Out of ammo, you've got fists, use them. Low on rations, and any enemy is a ration if you're brave enough. Wow. Even dead officers could be replaced. Space Marines have a neat trick called the Amophagia. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anymore, just roll with it. Which lets them absorb memories by eating brains. And these guys are really good at it. Admittedly, I don't quite remember this part of their lore, but I thought they were just closet vampires, basically. These dietary habits made the Revenant Legion, as Malcador the Sigillite came to call them, far from popular on the Great Crusade. But that would all change when the angelic Primarch was discovered on the rad-scorched moon of Bal Secundus. Yeah, it's an awesome model. This one's done by Siege Studios' James Otoro and Ed Sanderson, so yeah, it's a cool model. These folks painted it up really well. Yeah, it's funny, admittedly probably even more brutal than Conrad Kurz or even Layman Russ, but he looks good doing it, so he gets a pass. By the time of the Horus Heresy, following an extensive PR campaign by their beloved Primarch, the Blood Angels were regarded as the pinnacle of the Legiones Astartes. The Ninth Legion's mastery of shock assault matched even their most feral cousins, and with significantly less shedding to boot. Fine red wine compared to the Fenrisians' throat-blistering jawed. The Sons of Sanguinius exemplify everything that is admirable and refined in the Great Crusade's ideals. And if a few bodies still go missing after the odd battle, well, that's a small price to pay for angelic deliverance. Yep, exactly. So Siege Studios also worked on this one. So, yeah, they look great. Definitely tabletop ready. Fantastic. All right, so now we have the rule teasers for this particular article. As their name might suggest, the Blood Angels revel in close combat, ever eager to tear up their foes with chain bayonets, elegantly crafted power spears, or a size 30 boot if it's all that's available. They're barely restrained, and Carmine Fury is unleashed when charging into battle, making it easier to wound their victims. Even fellow Space Marines can't withstand a ball-style beating. So we have in Carmine Fury, all models within the Legiones Astartes Blood Angels special rule require one lower result to wound than they would normally. Wow, to a minimum of 2+, on any turn in which they are part of a successful charge against an enemy unit, even if that charge is counted as disordered. That's solid. This effect applies regardless of the weapon they are using. For example, if using a strength 4 melee weapon and attacking a target with a toughness of 4, the Blood Angel will require a 3+ to wound rather than the usual 4+. In addition, any vehicle with the Legiones Astartes Blood Angels special rule that makes a ram attack increases the strength of any hits inflicted by +1 to a maximum of strength 10. So yeah, a lot of the other legions have arguably some conditions, right? They had specific conditions they had to meet to proc their special abilities, but yeah, this is pretty much always on with any weapon. And the vehicle one, if you're going to do a ramming attack, of course, it hits harder. I'm not sure why that makes sense, but that's what it does. Now that totally makes sense as far as the wounding part goes. I'm not sure why their vehicles hit harder, but they do. This preference for explosive close-range assaults also leads the 9th Legion to an enduring love affair with the fearsome Inferno pistol, perfect for cracking open targets too tough for the sharpest sword. The Blood Angels can replace volatile plasma pistols with the tank's worst enemy, and at their preferred engagement distance of in your face, the weapon's short range is of little concern. So the Fires of Heaven, any model with the Legiones Astartes Blood Angels special rule, may exchange a plasma pistol for an Inferno pistol for no additional cost. Nice. The weapon listed here is counted as a melta weapon for those rules that affect such weapons. So yeah, short range, range 6, strength 8, AP of 1, pistol 1, but it has armor bane, which is kind of bonkers, especially since they can get this at no additional cost. All right, so here's another shot of the Primarch, Sanguinius, Homeworld Ball, great looking model as we mentioned. So the notion of a child born with wings would survive into adulthood might sound outlandish for those familiar with the modern Imperium. Fortunately, Sanguinius found himself dumped in a more hospitable environments, sort of. A barren desert moon bathed in lethal radiation. Oh man. Taken in by one of the rat-scarred human tribes of Baal Secundus, the Primarch's wise insight, divine charisma, and incredible combat skills saw him bring peace to Baal, worshipped as a god incarnate. Spoilers, that's not the sort of thing the Emperor looks kindly upon. Yeah, for sure. A powerful precognitive, much like his moodier brother Conrad, Sanguinius knew exactly how his old man would react to mutants, religions, and religious mutants. And when the Emperor eventually made his way to Baal Secundus, the Primarch pledged his undying loyalty on the condition that no one looked too closely at his home world. Makes sense. Sanguinius sculpted his new legion with the skill of an artisan, turning them from malign savages into objects of reverence throughout the Imperium. Anger management courses, art classes, elocation lessons, anything to distract people from the whole eating other people situation. Gotta do what you gotta do. His noble compassion and ravishing good looks made Sanguinius popular among his brothers and the galaxy at large. He was often held up as the Emperor's destined successor. Spoiler, that's not the sort of thing Horus looks kindly upon. Man, for being beloved, there's a couple folks that really might not like him. But going into the heresy here. Knowing how badly they beat any traitor who stood before them, Horus dispatched the 9th Legion to the farthest reaches of space before unveiling his master plan. Marooned far from home and plunged into a demonic trap in the Cygnus cluster, Sanguinius and his sons were set upon by hordes of warp-spawn monstrosities. Here they came face to face with their greatest foe, Kabanda, a keen contender for Khorne's reddest, angriest bag of blades. While his space marines scoured the planet of demons, the Primarch battled the demon general in the skies of Cygnus Prime. An unlucky encounter with Kabanda's whip broke his legs, But Sanguinius walked it off and his force claimed victory over Chaos, only to discover the truth of their War Master's treachery. It's hard to go wrong with this color scheme. Doesn't really matter what mark of armor, like every mark I think looks good in this red with black and some gold trim. With no word forthcoming from Terra itself and the vast rune storm cutting off warp travel, Sanguinius met up with Lionel Johnson to hear Guilliman's plan. They'd make their own Imperium, but better. Sanguinius would even get to be Emperor. Alas, brotherly argument showed it'd never work in practice, and after a psychic vision convinced Sanguinius their father was alive, the tardy trio made all speed for the throne world. With the aid of diversionary tactics from their fellow, albeit less beautifully coiffed angels, the Blood Angels were one of the few legions to join their wall-camping cousins before the Siege of Terra began. Their fate would see the Angel in Carmine battle Cabanda once more, and this time he put in a cracking performance. We've yet to see how the Siege of Terra ends, but based on Sanguinius' track record, it seems a pretty safe bet that he'll emerge from this whole fiasco without a scratch. Yeah, that's what we would like to see. I'm not sure if it plays out that way. Well, spoilers, I know how it plays out, but new players may not. So a little bit more on the Legion lore. The tales of the Blood Angels' heroicism are multitudinous, and with so many authors and poets among their ranks, it stands to reason there's a wealth of Black Library novels charting their adventures. Relive their epic confrontations with the demons of chaos and fear to tread, and follow up with Unremembered Empire to discover how the doomed Imperium Secundus made its mark on Warhammer history. One Blood Angel in particular made his name in the Siege of Terra. The minion Zephon's struggles alongside the famous tech priest Archon Land are recorded in The Master of Mankind and Bringer of Sorrow. He even got his own model out of it, which, it just came out like a few weeks past. And then, of course, a painting guide like all the other articles had for the different legions. So I don't think you could go wrong by playing Blood Angels. They skew close combat, so if you really want a shooty army, okay, fair enough, this may not be your jam. But other than that, if you want to go loyalist and you want to go close combat, this one or Space Wolves probably couldn't go really wrong with. So if you like the more werewolf theme, go Space Wolves. If you like the more vampire theme, you can go with the Blood Angels. Personally, like I said, when I first started playing 40k, technically back at Rogue Trader, but mostly second into 3rd edition, Blood Angels were my first chapter. Even if I don't play them in the Horus Heresy, I still think they're worth considering. But what are your thoughts? What do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of the Blood Angels? Is this one you're looking forward to playing? Why or why not? Leave those in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this content but haven't yet, please consider subscribing, as well as hitting that notification bell and sharing this content with your friends. It really does help with the growth of the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. And honestly, without your support, it's difficult to get this content out there. It really does help, and I thank you for that. And as I mentioned before, this is one of a series of Legion rule teaser and lore videos that I'm putting out leading up to the launch of the Horus Heresy, technically going to pre-order this weekend, but will be available for pre-order for the next 2 weeks. So there's plenty of time to kind of weigh the pros and cons of all these different legions. But that's it for this one. As always, I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.